Hi there, this is Mike here, and I am here with...
I'm Joshua Davis. I'm the competitive events manager at ArenaNet.
And so we're going to again talk about Stronghold, because obviously Josh, you present Ready Up, talking a lot about PvP side, and after talking a lot about some of the other devs and sort of some of the other shoutcasters, it seems that Stronghold is going to be a very interesting new sort of map, and especially going to focus a lot more on team play. What would you say is your experience of playing Stronghold?
So when we started making the map, we had a couple of goals in mind with it. There's a couple things that we weighed every design decision against, right? So the first thing is we wanted to make sure it was fun. Yeah. We wanted to incentivize group play, and we wanted to make sure it was competitive all at the same time. So far, I think we've hit all of those things pretty well. Look, my favorite thing about the map right now is the fact that it opens up a lot of different roles. We've been doing demos for the past 2 days, right? And what's really great is we have sit someone down and they're like, "This is my first time playing Guild Wars. I've never played before. Yeah. Can you please explain the basics to me? I've never played." Yeah. We can sit them down. We can give them a very specific job. Like, we need you to run supply on the map, and this is what you're gonna do for the whole game. And they oftentimes will impact the map more than anyone's a veteran. Yeah. Just because there's so many different things you can do now that doesn't require you to be that veteran player. You can jump in. It's a very simple task. You run it. You do it. It's super important. And if you don't do it, you're gonna get wrecked. Yeah. So I think just the fact that there's opportunities for players to come in who aren't super experienced in PvP, there's elements there that are entertaining or appealing to PvE players. I understand how boss mechanics work, right? Yeah. I understand that you need to take down gates to get into the Lord Room and kill that guy, and that's how I win. Just the fact that all that stuff exists just opens up so many opportunities for players to come in.
It seems to have taken a lot of different elements. You've got the world versus world side with the trebuchet, the Lord going through the gates, and it's got the sort of PvE side with the NPCs coming to help you out. Yep. And I was speaking with Isaiah, and he said that when they were practicing it, they wanted to make sure that it's fun to watch as well. Yep. So from a competitive side, I understand that you did a little bit of shoutcasting practice. How did you find it being a shoutcaster talking about sort of Stronghold?
So I'll compare it to Conquest, which is what we have right now, right? So Conquest is about just pretty much fighting, skirmishing the entire time. Yes, so you're constantly, from a shoutcaster perspective, always at 11 out of 10, right? You've always got the thing cranked up all the way, and you're shouting and you're screaming, you're going, "Oh my gosh, did you see that happen? Crazy play," but there's just no rest. There's no lull period unless you have...
Blue, he's very, very quick to speak, and I'm just most of the time you're like, what happened there?
Yeah. So what the new map is more akin to a MOBA, in that you have hills and valleys in terms of excitement levels. So you have your brief periods where things kind of lull down. You can take a moment to talk about meta strategy. Okay, so they came out of the gate, they went here, they did this, and now that they've got these door breakers going in, they can start to take the door down. You can talk a bit more about the overall strategy of the map. Yeah. And you don't have to focus so much on that micro play. It's much more macro. But then you still have those moments where a door comes crashing down, you got the players running into the keep, and you have this really hype, intense moment that you can start shoutcasting in and people are really excited for. But basically the entire pacing of the map is just so much better now for competitive, for watching. Because when you're always at 11, you kind of just become numb to it, right? You're always at 11, it just kind of becomes the new norm. But with this, you can start to pace it and say, okay, we're going in, we're doing this thing, and oh my gosh, did you see that? That was crazy. Yeah. It's really good. I really like it.
And also from there's lots of different class builds available, so you can go as being a guardian. At the moment, there seems to be a lot of DPS guardians in the Conquest, and now obviously you're going to have different roles. You've got the supply runners. After talking with sort of the two devs there, they were saying new names for sort of each type of role there is, like the smuggler that will get the supply and go back, the shepherd to sort of get the sort of NPCs to the gate. And I think from a shoutcaster point of view, it's definitely going to be easier. From a new player's point of view, is it easier to learn than Conquest, or is it just generally an easy mode to learn?
So I think it's definitely much easier than Conquest. So at its base core level, Conquest is really easy, right? Yeah. Stand on this capture point and you get it, and that sounds super. What could get more easy than that? Stand here and get points. The problem is that a lot of the things that make Conquest a really viable competitive game mode are very nuanced. Yes. Knowing that you can have multiple people standing on a point to capture. Yeah. I'm sure you've done hot join and you run to the first point and 5 guys are standing there cap it, and you're like, "Guys, I got this, don't worry, I don't need you here." Yes. But no matter what, they still stand there. That's an ineffective use of your team, right? Because 5 people at one point doesn't do anything for you, then one person could, right? So those are hidden things in Conquest, and so it's very hard to jump in and just know all those hidden things that would going to affect your team in a negative way.
Well, I would also sorry to interrupt, to say as well regarding the capture points, it's never actually explicitly explained that it actually takes almost 12 seconds to capture a point and 4 seconds, or just over 4 seconds to decap a point. And I think there, a lot of people are a bit unsure. They'll leave the point, it'll get capped, and they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to cap it back again.
That's the thing. They're always moving, like, they'll leave the point because they think, like, I've got it. You know, obviously I don't need to defend it now because I own it. So they'll leave, and then someone comes back and immediately back caps them. And it's just this whole shuffle, juggling act. And again, there's no real clear explanation for it. And again, the actual nuances that make play, like, that sets apart, like, average players from top tier players is just very hidden things. The great thing about Stronghold is that you have one very clear defined objective, which is to kill the enemy guild lord.
Yes.
Now the paths you take to get there are a bit varied. You can, you know, get supply and run door breakers. You can wait for the heroes to spawn, and you use those to knock their door down. There's just different ways you can actually achieve that goal. So having that one goal clearly outlined, though, kind of leads you towards that. But you always have that one thing in mind. And really just the way the map is set up, with you have the two different lanes, you have a defense lane and an attack lane, it kind of always wants it basically at its core level pushes you towards that objective. Yeah. So it should be, like, jumping right in, much more easy to understand for new players.
Oh, that's sounds definitely something that's an improvement on sort of things. And I've noticed a lot of people have said that it has sort of elements of the guild versus guild from GW1. Yep. But just as a player, I've played Guild Wars 1 pretty much from launch, and I've played Guild Wars 2 from launch. But I never once played PvP in Guild Wars 1.
Really?
I never once played, because you always saw the Hall of Heroes, someone's won a battle in the Hall of Heroes, but I never actually got to the Hall of Heroes or never did anything in that, because by the time I actually wanted to get into PvP, there was always the Zishan rank that you had to, and they always say, no, you have to be this rank before you can join us. And I think PvP is a lot more open in Guild Wars 2 and a lot more open for new players. And do you think Stronghold is going to take that, and obviously in the PvP scene as it is, it's definitely growing. Can you see Stronghold growing it even further?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look over what we've done in the past year to further PvP, like, a big goal of ours is to drop down the walls that have kind of severed out from the rest of the game. Like, if you remember Guild Wars 2 when it first came out, it was kind of segmented off in its own part of the game. The gear that you earned there only worked in PvP.
The wardrobe.
I remember I would have my awesome character, because I'm pretty much PvP only, right? So I'd have my awesome looking character, and I'd go out into Lion's Arch, and all of a sudden I'm wearing a potato sack, and I look like a peasant. People start throwing me money. So it didn't feel good, but like now that we got the wardrobe system right that came in, so you can use your gear anywhere that you want. The reward system with the reward tracks, so much more.
Yeah, I've done a video looking at how you can actually make gold from it, because it is a viable way now. Obviously, you had the glory system before where you earned glory, and now I think PvP is definitely one way you can actually earn a significant amount of rewards from it.
Yeah, so like all these things all put together are really just us trying to bring those barriers down, bring players into PvP. Like, obviously, we really want to retain our hardcore player base. Like, those guys are awesome. They're the ones who establish the meta for the players, teach players how to play, but we want to make sure that we actually have players playing. And we're going to do that by making it easier for players to jump into. So, again, I mentioned before we had those questions that we asked every time that we made a change to Stronghold. Is it accessible? Is one of those questions. And so I think what we have now is been pretty popular. We've had players who are completely brand new to the game. We've had veterans come in. We've had some of the most hardcore players from the World Tournament Series jump in to play Stronghold, and everyone is just ecstatic. Like, it's such a great reception, so I'm feeling pretty good about it right now.
And finally, obviously, the WTS series, it's been really, really popular. I noticed as well, it's definitely improving the fact that you're encouraging your player base to actually take notice, being the sort of in the message in the top right, and the fact you get a boon or a glory, a luck boost when there's an event going on. It's made me realise, okay, there's an event going on. I'll go and watch that on, sort of on Twitch and on YouTube. Seeing the sort of Abjured against the orange logo was a great sort of match. Can you see Stronghold getting up into that sort of? Is that where you think PvP will go?
Yeah. So when we're making the map, like, having it be a competitive map is like one of the base design goals for the map. The thing is with the map is we want to make sure that we get in the hands of the players first, and we want them to make that call. At the end of the day, we're not going to take a map and shoehorn it into competitive play if players don't enjoy playing on that map. So while it may be a great map for what it is, we want to make sure that basically the players who are participating in those tournaments are the ones that determine whether or not that map goes in competitive play. So for right now, Stronghold, we feel really good about it, and we'll probably continue developing Stronghold and other maps like it. But ultimately, if the players in the top end don't think it's competitive, like, we probably won't put it in WTS.
Yeah, because obviously the map isn't called Stronghold, it is...
it's Champions Death.
Champions Death,
right.
So you're obviously going to have a few different ones like that, and then it's all Stronghold mode. But yeah, I think so far, I think a lot of people are going to be excited. I think a lot of new players for PvP are definitely going to find this mode enjoyable. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I'm hoping to get in there. It's a few little issues, but generally, obviously, yourself doing Ready Up, are you going to be looking at sort of doing some sort of look into Stronghold as we get closer to launch?
Yeah, so me and Hugh did one on Ready Up a couple weeks ago, kind of like a real basic, like here's Stronghold, we walked around, we didn't have a match going though.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted to retain that first shoutcasted match at WTS we did last weekend. But now that we've kind of got everything, the cat's out of the bag, and everyone's kind of seen it, we definitely plan on doing it more and more. I mean, there's a ton of Stronghold content out there now, right? We've been live streaming every day, people have been watching tons of Stronghold. I want to build a hype around the map, right? Like, as far as I said about like the map, you know, going into competitive realm is based on the players. Like, I feel really good about it. I think it's definitely going to go there, and I think it's going to bring in a whole new subset of players. And we definitely want to have those competitive players there with the experience and the knowledge to teach those players. And we're going to do that by getting them into that map, playing competitively, and getting into tournaments. So.
I do have one suggestion for a new play. You know, sort of. I think you should get Ruby to come and do Ready Up, and have her play on the Stronghold map.
We've got PvP 101, so maybe we'll get Hugh on there with Ruby, and we'll have him guide her through the map and start playing. We've done a lot of we do internal playtesting constantly, and we've gotten just so many different kind of devs involved. People from Living World, people from all sorts of teams have jumped in and played it, and the reception's been really positive, so we're excited.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for your time, Josh,
and
so we'll look forward to seeing Stronghold in GW2 HoT.